Safe Points podcast. I'm here with Prasann, Rishi, and Lakshya. Prasann, our newcomer, but you've probably heard him on our audio podcast. Always the one with controversial opinions in our 11s, but you'll see for yourself.
It's gonna be
what's up?
Today's gonna be a fun one. We got P on the show.
Yeah. This is gonna be good. So today we're just gonna be doing our 11s for the IPL squad from 2015 to 2020, not including 2021, the current season. And we're just sort of gonna go through it like we did our ODI World 11, and then go from there. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Comment down below as well what your teams are, and make sure you subscribe. I think around 50 to 60% of you guys aren't subscribed, whoever's watching this video, so it'd be great if you could. Thanks. We'll just get started.
Line rules. We're doing 4 overseas players. As close to their position as possible. You can't have 7 openers in your team, but you can have 3 be an opener if they have played in multiple roles. But yeah.
Yeah, so we're just going to go individually on our teams, and then at the end we'll just sort of compile one overall team where we agree, and then sort of fight over and debate who should play over who. But we'll just get started. Openers first. Anyone want to go?
Can we go with the obvious opener first? Who does not have David Warner?
I don't think anyone can possibly make an IPL 11 where you don't have David Warner in the opening. It just boggles the mind as to how anyone can exclude him. So everyone good with that?
Yeah, even that happened.
Is that 2015 orange cap, second place?
Even Prasann has him. That says a lot.
2016 second place, 2017 orange cap, 2018 he missed, 2019 orange cap. Yeah, too easy. Which is weird because today's the day a lot of people are saying he shouldn't have opened today and it's super over. But yeah, that's a debate for another time. Okay, cool. Second opener, I got KL Rahul.
Oh, no.
Interesting.
No.
I've got Rohit Sharma.
Oh, that's an even bigger no. That's an even bigger no.
I'm not a
That's a bigger no. No, I go Kohli up there.
Oh man, okay.
Kohli opening? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I can't really debate Prasann on Kohli because he's my number 3, but Rohit, no. He's not that good.
Yeah.
He's
Rohit's
not
IPL record as a batsman isn't there. He's a great captain, but he just doesn't turn up enough. 2016
was his last really good season based on stats. The only that's the season he averaged. I think he averaged 40. He averaged 30ish in 2015. 2020 around 20. 2019 around high 20s. 2018 mid 20s. And there's other good captains in that I don't think his captaincy is enough for me.
It's a fair point. I just think ultimately there's 2 questions for me. Number one is I think Rohit has had some disappointing IPLs with the bat, but also I tend to think that his performance in big games, he's shown up in some finals, done really well. He's, I'm still considering 2016 to 2020, right, as a period in which I'm looking at. So for me, it comes down to the fact that we know Rohit can perform well. He's had a great captaincy record. I don't want Virat as my captain in the IPL. So I personally think I would go with Rohit Sharma and I'd put him as my captain. I think he's got the class, got the talent. He's played all around the world, played well internationally. I think his batting record is a little bit dodgy, but I'd still go with him as my opener.
Oh, man. No, I can't. My backup opener is Shikhar Dhawan, so
yeah,
I think
I thought of that, but I didn't want 2 lefties.
I think the way Shikhar Dhawan's played, especially in 2020, that was it was arguably those 2 back-to-back centuries he made.
Dhawan's had a good year. Dhawan's not had a bad season. He's really good 2020, 2019. He's been better for Delhi than he was Sunrisers, but he was still pretty good in 2018 and 2017 for Sunrisers.
My one question on this is, are we allowed to change it a little bit? Are we allowed to put Dhawan at number 3, for example, because he's had a few innings there, and put Virat as opening? Is that allowed?
When has Dhawan ever been at 3?
Yeah, I don't
couple
think
of
he's
games here and there.
Rohit, you could have him 2, 3, 4 because he's actually batted at 4 a lot.
Rohit used to bat at 4 quite a bit. Yeah, I mean,
with Dwayne Smith and Orlando Simmons and Partha Patel, he used to bat at 4, but Dhawan, Darwin I don't think in his entire life has ever gone outside of opening.
Yeah.
He's gone, I think, a couple games. That was more of an experiment. So yeah, it's really stretching the definitions here.
One question would be Chris Gale. He has also the option at coming in at 3 as well. But I was just debating between opening and 3 for him.
And
have you got Gale as an opener?
I haven't decided yet. But yeah, we'll put Gale as opener for now.
Yeah,
if you were stitching it, go on,
yeah,
Prasann.
an all-time 11 in the IPL, Gale is maybe second to Warner as an opener, but he is definitely one of the first 2 names on that team sheet. His record speaks for itself. The number of balls on the Chinnaswamy rooftop, he's just deposited there. The number of broken windshields in the car park, that's actually happened, by the way. But yeah, I think his record just speaks for itself. But I think over the last 4 years, I know 2016 and 2017, his last 2 seasons for RCB, he was really quiet. And 2018 was he? Yeah, he was in RCB 2018 as well, and he was just really quiet.
2018, he came back Kings 11 where nobody expected to, and he played pretty well. He had 100.
Oh yeah. But then, other than that, I don't think his numbers warrant a spot in my 11. I think out of even as a lifelong RCB fan, even the sentimental value of the OG Chris Gale doesn't get him a spot on my team, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think
the thing with Gale is if he was Indian, he wouldn't take up an overseas slot, and I'd actually put him in. But you can't justify burning an overseas slot on Chris Gale when you've got players like AB de Villiers, Andre Russell, all of whom have had much better IPLs and give just as much with the bat. I don't think you can make that argument for Chris Gale for that reason. This is actually the only reason that Rohit Sharma's in there, for example, is partly because I don't want to burn an overseas slot on him, and I thought Rohit Sharma was better than Rahul. It's really about it.
Okay. Yeah. My 2 openers, I got Warner in our time period. Warner has 3 orange caps, and KL Rahul has 2, I believe, in this period. So that basically orange cap dominated my opening pick. Gale would have been my backup overseas opener, and Doan was my backup Indian opener.
I'm not really a fan of looking at orange cap and openers. I know they always it's always ending up where
they face
openers
the
get
most
the orange cap.
balls.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to base it solely off of the orange cap, and that's what you're choosing. So I didn't really agree with that.
The best batsman in the team. I don't think. Okay, we can't really argue on Warner here. Warner's won an IPL.
No, Warner's different, but he has a pedigree outside of the orange caps as well. Rahul is he's inconsistent in the sense that he scores a lot of runs just because he's faced the most number of balls on the team, not because he's at a significantly high strike rate.
He's been massively consistent in the last. He was in RCB in 2016, so he was batting at 4 back then. 2018, you couldn't debate his strike rate. It was 150-ish, and he was averaging up there. 2019 strike rate was fine as well. 2020 is when the strike rate issues really started, and that had more to do with how his team was playing and how the lower order had to do. Yeah. But and then we don't have to talk about 2021. That's not part of the convo. Yeah. I feel cool. We have different opener sets. I feel that's at least one thing.
I think we all have one commonality, which is probably as much as we're going to agree in the rest of this podcast. So
with Warner. Yeah.
3.
All right, let's go number 3 and 4. I think I feel like we all have the same ones here. So let's just say Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers. Anyone have any opposition here?
Well, I had Kohli opening, so I've got Surya Kumar at 3.
Okay, I have Kohli at 3, and I have Shreyas Iyer at 4.
Really, over de Villiers?
De Villiers is probably further down, right?
Yeah. Okay.
He's better there. He's better at 4. He's better at 3. Yeah, dang. I didn't want to reveal my number 5 already, but yeah.
Well, we can just do 3,
we
4, 5.
Knew who it was, anyways.
We all knew it. If de Villiers wasn't your number 4, he's your number 5.
Yeah, no, de Villiers is the second overseas player I'm picking. I actually really struggled to put Kohli in the team. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think he's had that big of an impact in IPL as he does in the international game. But when I look through his stats, his strike rate and average is still really good. Even though I've always felt like he's underperformed outside of that 2016 year, I always felt like he's underperformed, but he actually hasn't. His stats still remain really solid.
I think slightly biased against him because he's on your team. That's why.
Yeah. No, and the fact, and I share the sentiment that I believe Kohli has underperformed since 2016, but that also speaks volumes to the kind of standards the cricketing world holds him to. most other players putting up these kinds of numbers this regularly, it's not taken for granted. But I think with what Kohli's achieved throughout his career, this is something that now we would take for granted. He has played some big innings, and other than that one season, I think where he had major issues facing leg spin bowling. I think it was 2018, the one where he got dismissed 5-6 times in the preliminary stages by leg spinners. I think,
The
yeah,
thing with
you
Virat,
cannot
though,
have him out.
I think it's just so dangerous to even consider leaving a player like that out of your 11, because the fact is his performances have not been bad by any objective standard. The only one by which you can say they're disappointing is his own incredibly high standards. And I think judging him by that does a disservice to the player itself. So I would say, just going by record, going by stats, and then going by the fact that you know what he can do, I feel like he should make it into anyone's team.
Yeah, I agree. It's not just the stats that, or like the feeling like underperformed. It's also the fact that RCB had such a dismal record in this time period. That also made me not want to put Kohli, because okay, he's not that great of a captain, clearly, and he's not playing too many match winning knocks outside of that 2016 season. But eventually, I had to put him. But yeah, okay. So we all have Kohli at number 3.
Yeah.
Let's go to 4 and 5. Who do we have at 4 and 5? Because for me,
we all had it. Wait, let's not argue on De Villiers too much. We all have De Villiers on this team.
Yeah, I think all of us have him at either 4 or 5.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we don't really need to talk about De Villiers. Mr. 360, the IPL logo is literally designed after him. He's doing crazy things, even though he's 3 years retired now.
Right. Who else do you have?
I have Shreyas because he started in 2015 for Delhi Daredevils, and surprisingly, he's not even left the franchise yet. He's now their captain. He was the star batsman of the team before his injury this season, but he's had a good, solid, except for 2016, he's had a solid performances every year. He's one of the surprising. He's captain of the franchise now, considering how young he is and how inexperienced he is compared to the other captains in my playing 11. Actually, yeah, my entire top 4 are all captains, surprisingly. But yeah, Shreyas has been remarkably consistent. I think 2018, 19, 20 is his peak period for sure. But he also had that breakthrough season opening in 2015.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I have De Villiers, and then after De Villiers at 4, I've got at 5, I've got Hardik Pandya.
Oh my god, dude.
It's a tough pick. See,
for
me,
why is your entire team's mind one down?
I think for me, the thing is, I tend to not value accumulators as much, and I tend to value players who just go and put the pedal to the metal right away. And so for me, putting Hardik at 5 was something where I said, it's probably a spot higher than he bats most of the time. He has batted at 5 sometimes for Mumbai, but I think for me, the value that Hardik brings is accentuated the higher up he bats in the order, because he has the ability to start insanely quickly against pace. He's got some of the best strike rates against pace bowlers. And I think a player like him, with the cameos that he's had, can do so much damage in even 10, 15 balls. Because if your top order is Warner, some other opener, I have Rohit, you have KL Rahul, right? Virat Kohli, and then AB de Villiers. For me, I look at the number 5 position as probably having 10, 15 balls to play maybe in the last 3-4 overs, and when your top order clicks. And then you want someone who can basically just build on the platform and get them quick runs as soon as possible. So that's why for me, I tend to make the 4, 5, 6, 7 slots really players who can just hit quickly.
Well, yeah. Okay. I can't argue here because I have Pandya in the team too, but it's not. Okay. Who has a unique 5 outside of Villiers?
I had Surya Kumar Yadav at 3. I think that's something we didn't talk about too much.
Okay. Surya Kumar Yadav. Only 2 seasons in this time period. So
sorry, only
he has 2 good seasons in this time frame. That's why I didn't look at him.
Yeah, me too.
I think his impact, especially in 2020, was just so noticeable. The Mumbai team weren't doing great, like early doors in the 2020 season, like they always do. I mean, but at the same time, I think he was just extremely consistent. Him and Ishan Kishan really held that batting lineup together. I think, they did lose their openers for fairly cheap. I don't think that Gok had a great season last season. And then Yeah, Rohit Sharma
Rohit
kept.
didn't have a great season.
Yeah, until the playoffs, he didn't really come good. So I think Surya Kumar and Ishan Kishan were always in the middle. I think he had a number of really defining innings. I think that's what earned him his India call up as well. And I think I'm like giving precedence to the last two seasons. I think more than I should be, but I think Surya Kumar just
19 was not that great for him. I don't.
he did have a number of impactful innings. I think, and he has a decent strike rate.
Yeah,
He's
I think we all can agree the move from KKR to Mumbai will change Surya Kumar's career, right?
yeah, definitely
Absolutely.
did.
But we're looking
Definitely.
at 2015 to 20, so that's 3 whole seasons where he's just done nothing. He did nothing for KKR after 2014. He was just batting at 6-7, getting out at the end. So that to me was like that's half our time frame that we're looking
I'm
at.
of the opinion that
he has 500. He has like 400 plus runs the last three seasons.
right,
He
but
had
again,
500 in 2018.
that's recency bias, though, in my opinion, because you can't just take the last 3 seasons and ignore the first two, right? If we're taking an aggregate over the time period, I don't necessarily see how Surya Kumar Yadav would warrant a spot in the team over the other options we have, but we can agree to disagree. But who do you have at 5?
Wait, let's look at this as well, Prasann. Like I have KL Rahul in the team, and his breakthrough IPLs, the season he became the best batsman for his team was 2018, just like Surya, right, from Mumbai. But before that, KL Rahul had decent seasons for RCB too. He was really, really good for them in 2016. Surya was not. So Surya Kumar has more recency bias than the KL Rahul, even though they kind of emerged at the same time as the dominating batsman of the tournament.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I just think with the way I have this team going, I think Surya Kumar is more he's a better fit, I think, in this team at number 3 with De Villiers coming after him and Kohli opening with Warner. I think I don't know. I just think that his ability to keep the runs, scoring in the middle overs, his ability to score well in the middle overs, if he's batting with, say, Kohli, who has off late struggled to score in the middle overs, I think the impetus he brings to that batting lineup is something that I value more than, say, Shreyas Iyer in the same position. But yeah, it is a bit of a dark horse choice.
Did you guys even take a
I
look
don't
at
think
Maxwell?
this is something to really dwell on too much, though, the number 3 position. Let's go back to number 5. Prasann, Suraj, who do you guys have at number 5?
Okay, I think I have the exact same as Lakshya for my 5. Sorry, I'm trying to remember. So it's Kohli, ABD, and Pandya.
Yeah,
that's mine.
Right, then let's move on because like
No, I have Pollard at 5.
oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
That's
I considered that.
Pollard. I'd definitely consider Pollard.
Yeah, he's
my all-rounder is better than Pollard. My overseas all-rounder is better than Pollard.
Yeah, I think let's go to number 6 because I think that's where the Karen Pollard debate really starts to come in. Because at number 6, I've got Andre Russell.
Dude, Lakshya, I straight up do not like Karen. I have Pandya at 6 and then Russell at 7. It's just, I mean, obviously you can alternate that, but you're literally just taking my team to put shifting one out.
Yeah, well, I've Pandya at 6, so
I have Pandya at 6. We already talked about Pandya. We don't need to talk about him.
Yeah.
You have so basically Lakshya and I have Russell in their top 7, and Prasann you have Pollard, right?
I have Pollard, yeah. It's the in the Caribbean.
I think I went with Andre Russell just because he could bowl as well. To me, as strike hitters, both of them have some of the highest strike rates in IPL, but I think Andre Russell also has a higher strike rate. Pollard just has a bit more consistency within him, and he's more of a match winner. Obviously, he's played for he's been part of all their IPL titles, I think, and he's played a lot of crucial knocks in the finals for them.
Exactly.
He had a really good knock. 2013 had a good knock, but that's not in our time frame. Obviously, he had a really good season 2020. Andre Russell has that monster season from 2019. 2018, he also had a great season. 2020 had a decent season with the ball. He had a good season 2015, 16 as well. It was I definitely considered Pollard, but I think just the fact that he's Andre Russell's an all-rounder, and I'd rather have the overseas all-rounder over an overseas number 6, I guess. Don't really consider.
I only went Pollard because of his match-winning pedigree. I think he's, like you mentioned, he's been in every single one of Mumbai's title-winning campaigns. He played. He may not have padded his stats the way some other players playing that position have over the years, but his like match winning ability and his like ability to like, completely turn a game around. I know there have been what 3 or 4 games against RCB alone. I still have pretty nightmares about those games.
No,
Yeah, I've
So
I broke something those days. I still remember.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
one thing to really talk about is that the two players with the highest scoring rates from the start of 2019 to the start of 2021 per Ben Jones from CrickViz, Andre Russell, 10.56 runs per over, Karen Pollard, 9.72 runs per over. And the thing is, both of those are incredibly fast starters. I don't think there's a wrong pick here. It's just that with the composition of the rest of my 11, I didn't want to take all of my overseas spots before even picking my bowlers. And that's really why I didn't have room for both Russell and Pollard in my 11. That's just what it came down to.
That's fair
So
enough, yeah.
slightly different from you guys. I went for Jadeja in my at 6, I believe was the next spot. And then 7, I actually have Narayan. Bit different.
Wait. So Narayan and
Oh.
is your spin attack?
Yeah.
You have no other spinners in the team. If
I have Rashid too.
I
don't
just
have it.
don't say it.
I have Rashid too. Khan.
I think
purely because
if you
in a
don't have
con-
Rashid Khan, you
yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
let's
a
not
bit
get
dodgy.
onto the bowlers.
Let's not
Okay,
get
okay.
onto the bowlers yet. Let's just talk about if we had to, let's just go to number 7 for a second, though. What do you guys have at 7?
I have Russell.
Russell, I've got Jadeja.
Oh, I have someone a little different. I've also gone for a left arm spinning all rounder.
If
But
you
I've
go
gone for
Akshay Patel,
Pandya.
I swear.
I've gone Pandya.
Okay. I can respect. Wait,
No,
Krunal
what?
Pandya. Yes.
Krunal?
Yes. I have Krunal Pandya.
Overrated.
You've got Krunal in
Dude,
your all-time
I've-
11.
Over the last 5 years. Sure.
I'm gonna mute you, Prasann. You don't need to talk right now.
Maybe 2017, maybe 2018. He was pretty bad 2020. He's pretty bad 2019. He's just there because he's Pandya, brother. Let's be honest.
No.
I just want to
I'm
ask,
back.
what was the logic here? I'm sure there was something. I just don't know if it holds up. Yeah, you're basically picking Walmart Jadeja here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be lying if I say my like reaction to waking up this morning didn't have a part to play with this pick. But I think okay, Krunal, he has the tendency to be overrated from time to time, but I think
Because he is.
no, his
It's a tendency. He just
no,
is.
I think he's a better T20 bowler than Jadeja. I think so because he's bowled everywhere for Mumbai Indians. He's bowled with the new ball in the power play. He's bowled and like kept a lid on scoring in the middle overs, and he's bowled in the death. He's got a surprisingly good record on slow tracks bowling in the death, and I think that's something that's a really valuable asset, especially considering this is an IPL team. You'll be playing on a fair share of slow wickets in India. I also think his ability as a like second foil like batsman in the event of a batting collapse is extremely underrated. He's played some really key innings both with his brother and
Yeah, I agree. He's
Byron
definitely better.
Pollard.
He's better than Jadeja at batting. I agree. Yeah, makes sense.
You're joking, right? Okay, you're joking.
I
No,
don't
no.
agree with that because I think here's the thing. If you're trying to stem against the batting collapse here with this lineup, something has gone seriously wrong because every single one of the players from 1 through 6 can really hold the fort in terms of batting. So I don't think guarding against the batting collapse is the reason to pick Krunal Pandya at 7. I think if you're doing that, you're going for damage mitigation at that point.
Then you're like, yeah, this is, yeah, I'm not, okay, I actually agree on one of Pete's points. I'm going to defend him on. Krunal Pandya and Jadeja's bowling, because we have a little bit of recency bias because of 2021, Jadeja's having a great season with the ball, but he's not been that good with the ball in IPL lately.
Absolutely agreed, yeah.
And he has way easier conditions than Krunal. Jadeja has a good record with the ball in Chennai, but he really struggled in 2020 in UAE. It was his batting that mainly dominated in UAE last year, but Krunal Pandya's had good seasons with the ball. 2016, 2017. He was man of the match in the 2017 final as well. Yes, he's a bit overrated, but he does serve a key role for Mumbai Indians. He's been that second spinner for the last 4 or 5 seasons for them. So I can definitely agree with Krunal Pandya is a more versatile bowler in that he can bowl in more phases, and he's had worse conditions. It's a lot harder to bowl spin at Mumbai than it is at Chennai.
See,
Yeah,
in that case,
absolutely.
the only thing the reason I chose Narayan is fairly similar to what P is saying, except Narayan does have a strike rate of like 180 like plus, and he has like an average of 17 in whatever these years we're talking about. So I think the only reason you'd pick Krunal Pandya over him is just so you don't have to give up the overseas slot. But that was sort of my thought process when picking Narayan here.
Again,
Narayan's a good pick, actually. I think it's
He's a better bowler
match
than
winning. No.
Pandya as well.
I think
Fine.
every Mumbai Indians player in this 11 warrants a spot just because of their ability to win matches. Like Pollard, Hardik, Pandya, and I think Pollard, Hardik, and Krunal, and I'm presuming the fourth Mumbai Indians player who's in everyone's 11 as well. They're there because they win matches. Every time I pit them against someone else, you have to give precedence to the fact that these guys are part of title-winning squads, and each of these guys have single-handedly or with some help won games for Mumbai Indians. And I think that's something that is really slept on when these 11s are being decided. And I think that's something you have to give greater precedence to.
I think one thing, picking Jadeja in all-time of it, I think is also a bit of a recency bias, to be blatantly honest. I've always put Jadeja up till 2019 in that category of like a Rohit, a Dhawan back then too, a player like Kohli, but players who perform a lot better at the international stage in IPL. I've never viewed Jadeja that highly in IPL until the last two seasons, this current season and last season.
So for me, it just comes down to the fact that it really came between three players for me. Actually, I will admit I considered Krunal briefly. It was Krunal, Ravi Jadeja, and Sunil Narayan for me. But I think I picked Jadeja because his batting ability is unquestioned. Everyone knows about it. His strike rate is extremely good, and it helps you get quick runs. And I think the left arm angle that he adds to the ball, and the fact that he has had good seasons with the ball before this one, he has had them, and it's not like he's been a disaster with the ball. He's a good second spinner for me, and I think he's not my primary spinner, which actually leads me to let's go to the bowlers now. Who do we have as the bowling lineup? Because I think
we all have the same.
It should be Rashid and Bumrah for all of us at a minimum.
Kind of Bumrah, right?
Yeah, everyone has Bumrah.
Let's just talk about them then. Okay. Yeah. Rashid Khan is my 8. So
Same here.
I don't have a spinning all-rounder. Rashid Khan is the closest thing I have to spinning. I have 2 pace bowling all-rounders. So that means I only needed 2 pacers in the team. One was Bumrah. And my second one was a guy who's won the most number of purple caps during this period. Bhuvi.
Obviously. Yeah.
That was the obvious pick. He was the...
Akash would be proud. Akash would be proud.
Yeah, Akash would be proud.
I've got Bhuvneshwar also, and I've got Jasprit Bumrah.
Yeah.
I think
those are no-brainers.
The 2 best Indian bowlers in IPL since during this time frame.
So we've got our 3 slots then: Rashid, Bumrah, and Bhuvneshwar. Who do we have for that final bowling slot?
Yeah,
I think this will depend more on your lineup, because who has Jadeja and Narayan in their team?
I have Narayan and Jadeja.
Suraj
has Jadeja and Narayan at that 6 and 7.
So I don't need another spinner.
Yeah, so I have 2 pace bowling runners. So I have another spinner, and I have.
Who do you have?
I have Chahal. I have to. As a RCB fan, I could not deny Chahal has been one of RCB's best bowlers, and if you take away the recency bias of his current form for both India and the current IPL, Chahal's been easily the best Indian spinner in the league. It's not even close.
Yeah, and the fact that between 2016 and 2019 he did all of his half his season at the Chinnaswamy, which is always like a run fest. It's his numbers speak for themselves. The way he gets wickets for Kohli. Every time a game slipping away from Kohli, he always has that ace up his sleeve, which is the third or the fourth Chahal over. And more often than not, Chahal delivers. Yes, he does get taken apart from time to time, but he speaks for himself, and I think that's why he's my third spinner.
Yeah, he and Rashid Khan are my only spinners in this team.
Yeah. I really tried to find some way to make this unique and not pick Chahal, but when I come down and I look at it, I just don't see a way in which you can make an 11 where Yuzvendra Chahal is not in it unless unless you've got enough spinners elsewhere to where you really want to take an overseas slot with a pace bowler or something. Because Chahal for me is consistently great. I mean, Chahal's performance above replacement for RCB has really saved their bacon on more days than one.
I feel like my bottom 5 players, like my 7 through 11, we all probably considered them or had them a team. But I had one sleeper backup pick that I think I've actually argued that this guy is not overrated and deserves the high pay he gets every season. And this is my backup for Universal because I don't have any solid overseas pace bowlers. Chris Morris. For Delhi, Rajasthan, and RCB in this time frame. Outside of 2019, consistently great seasons with the ball. 2020, RC's best bowler by a mile.
Yeah.
Absolutely no reason to get rid of a player who's had the best death bowling performance. Easily been the best one of the best overseas death bowlers in the IPL. Super impactful when he played for Rajasthan and Delhi with the bat as well. A lot of crucial knocks. I think 2015 to 17 was his high period. He had a couple off seasons. He had an okay season in 2018, terrible season in 2019, which caused Delhi to not retain him, and then he had a breakthrough, another great season with RCB.
So, do you have Chris Morris in your 11?
No, he's a backup for Andre Russell, but he's like because I don't have any overseas pace bowlers. Andre is not there for it's more there for his batting, but because I have Bhuvi and Bumrah and Pandya and Russell, that's my 4 pacers. If I had overseas pacers, the first one I'm picking is Chris Morris.
So for me, my 12th man actually is also Chris Morris for the exact same reasons you mentioned. So for once you sniped me on a pick.
We were on the same wave.
Yeah. I mean, I think one other option I considered for overseas pace bowling is Trent Boult, but I don't think he has the pedigree over enough period of time in the IPL. He's had a great 21, but we're not counting that. He had a great 2020, but again, that's just one season. He was good with Delhi, but I don't think he's had the record over 5 years to justify inclusion over someone like Andre Russell, say. And that's the question, right? If you've only got 4 overseas slots, you're not going to burn one on someone who's only had 2 good seasons.
Yeah, I feel like Bolt he was okay with Delhi, he was okay with Sunrisers, but Mumbai learned to utilize him best. This way New Zealand have utilized him. But that also leads me to this topic. For the overseas pick, we've all said there's an obvious batsman in Warner, obvious opener in Warner, obvious middle order in De Villiers, and obvious spinner in Rashid Khan. So who is the best overseas pace bowler? You not even have to look at including 11. Who is the best overseas pace bowler in this time frame? Because a lot of the overseas pacers in the IPL have two good seasons, but there's not too many that have stayed in their team for a long time. Rabada's got 2 purple caps in a row, or second place. But that's very recent, and he's also been expensive, so I didn't really consider him. But who else is there? Bolts. If you look at some of the top bowlers, Pat Cummins has high money contract.
Cummins doesn't count. Cummins' value is in his batting at this point rather than his bowling for the IPL.
Cummins is not an option here. Mitchell Stark was really good the IPL he played, but he's never played again.
But he's only played one. Yeah, I think my opinion was that I think Rabada has to do it, and if it's not Rabada, then you seriously have to look into someone like Chris Morris or something just because of his debt strength. Because I don't think there's that many really good, solid overseas pace bowlers that have really made their mark in the IPL over the last 5 years on a consistent basis.
Yeah, first of all, I think a big thing is a lot of them pull out of the IPL. A lot of them are especially franchises because the thing is we're talking about overseas pacers, but they're the most highly demanded players. We saw that in the auction; they get the most money. You have players who haven't even played for their country getting the most amount of money.
But... Wait. Best overseas. I can't believe. What are we thinking? Jofra Archer.
Jofra Archer was actually the first person I was thinking of, but I just couldn't fit it. Jofra Archer is probably the best overseas pacer in this time frame.
Yeah, actually 100% Jofra Archer. There's no way you can come up with the argument otherwise.
Yeah, that we missed one. Yeah, Jofra Archer should definitely be.
I don't know how we missed that one.
I think the thing was Chris Morrison was a backup for Russell, so I went with the better batsman. But Archer's definitely a better bowler than Chris Morris.
Yeah.
Also, again, is 3 seasons only.
No, but my point is with Archer, he was actually the first name that came to my mind. The reason, again, that I didn't take him is the same reason that I was saying, someone like Surya Kumar Yadav doesn't belong in this 11 because he didn't play a lot of those seasons. You can have him slot in directly for Russell, directly for Pandya. You can bat all over the order. Jofra can't do that.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But
as a bowler, there's no comparison.
Ball and death, I take Archer every day. Yeah, I feel bad. I can't believe I missed Archer. Let me just go around. Who's everyone's wicketkeeper in their all-time 11?
De Villiers.
De Villiers.
De Villiers.
Mine's KL Rahul because De Villiers is a better fielder. But okay. We didn't even talk once about
Dhoni.
Barry's names, Dhoni and Rishabh Pant.
I considered it strongly.
Before we talk about Dhoni's decline, just remember he was CSK's best batsman in 2019. And Prasann, you as an RCB fan should know what he did in 2018. He had a really good season 2018 and 2019.
So for me, actually, I will say my first iteration of the 11 had Rohit Sharma excluded, Virat Kohli opening, and I had Rishabh Pant at number 3. And the reason I didn't go through with that is because Rishabh Pant doesn't bat number 3. If the rules were bent to let him bat at number 3, that would have been my 11 in a heartbeat because I
think he was number 3 in 2016.
Okay, we're taking it.
Rohit Sharma's out. You can't put Pant at number 3. Get out of here, love.
You're thinking 2016 Pant at number 3 though. That's the thing.
I know.
That's as bad. That's worse than putting Saha in your test 11.
No.
It's not.
No.
It's
I want
not.
to point out. I just want to point out,
It's not.
Prasann, you picked Ridhaman Saha in your all-time 11 when the guy wasn't even in the India 11.
That was like number one topics. That's like number one pick that aged badly. That was before the Australian tour.
Yeah.
An opener. In 2016 actually. He opened for India 19. So when he got picked in IPL, he was an opener, and then they realized they finally moved him down. But yeah.
The question is, are you allowed to pick him as an opener here?
Why would you want to pick him as an opener or a number 3?
I would have wanted to pick him at number 3. I would have wanted Kohli to open and then Rishabh Pant to go to number 3. The thing is, Rohit Sharma for me is actually weak link in my 11 for his batting. And I just don't want to pick KL Rahul because he takes up too many balls. And I want enough time for the rest of the team to actually get a hit. So for me, what happens is I would replace Rohit Sharma in a heartbeat with Virat Kohli and then put Pant at 3 if I could, but it feels kind of like cheating, doesn't it? So
yeah, no, that's not. Pant at 3 would just look weird. Like,
yeah.
Nah.
Would you? Okay, given the opportunity tomorrow, would you bat Pant at 3? Yes or no?
Do you think Kohli's a better batsman than Pant in IPL?
I actually think
Yeah.
yes, but it's a lot closer than people believe.
No, Pant's stats are significantly better than Kohli's in IPL. He has a better strike rate and his average is 40.
His average. He has 2 IPL seasons that we can really talk about, 2018 and 2019, right?
Fair.
Pant also has a recency bias stat. 2016-17, he was still making it. He had innings.
Yeah.
2018, 2019 were his breakthrough.
No,
Pant,
since 2016, his strike rate's been 160 or something.
Yeah,
and like 40 plus average since 2016.
50 players who have a better striker than Virat Kohli in the IPL. So that's
exactly
that we know that was a given.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me with Virat Kohli at number 3 is just as a batsman overall, is firstly, he's a bit more versatile, can do a lot more things. He can bat at 4, he can bat at 3, he can open the batting. But more than that, I think someone like Kohli has a little bit more pedigree over the 5 years we're talking about. And that's why I take him over Pant, because again, I've brought back this point several times. If we're just looking at peak seasons, Mitchell Starc makes it into this 11. And if we're just looking at recency bias, then obviously we're having a different conversation because Rishabh Pant is in the 11. But, well, actually, maybe not on that one. He had a terrible 2020, but you know my point. My point is just that you have to look at all 5 seasons. Otherwise, it really starts to look at, it really starts to neglect some of the big picture part of this. And that's why I don't think Pant makes it just yet.
What about Dhoni?
That's an interesting one for me. I thought about it, but I don't know who he dislodges here.
So the thing is, okay, so if Dhoni comes in, he definitely has to be batting 5 to. He's not batted higher than 5 in IPL, so he has to be 5, 6, or 7.
I think he batted 4, maybe in the earliest iterations, maybe.
No,
but
that was.
Whoever put Pollard in their team, that's probably the best place to switch him into.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but then you could probably move an Indian player for an overseas, but
exactly.
But then Dhoni with Pollard is actually is a decent debate. The only thing I think the keeping quality is we're a bit off here. If our keeping options are De Villiers and KL Rahul, that's the only thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think De Villiers is a bad keeper though for T20 because he's one of the most athletic players in the world. I think Rahul is passable as a keeper. Dhoni is actually elite. But now my point is this: look at the players you have. None of them really flight it up all that much. They don't really, it's not something where I think spin would be. It's not something that I think would challenge the keepers nearly as much.
I'm not looking. When you're picking a keeper, you don't have to look at your own team. You just have to think who the best keeper is or best keeper batsman.
See, there I disagree. I think, well, yeah, I mean, if we're saying ignore the keeping quality, but I'm saying if you're looking at keeping quality, there's not really much of an argument to say, oh, Dhoni will make a significant difference just based on keeping quality alone, because there's no one in this team that would challenge him like that, and you're not playing on any of these minefields.
Yeah, I agree. This is not Test cricket, so KL Rahul's not ever going to keep in a Test match, but so you don't have to worry about that. I have KL.
And I've seen some pretty weird things from the Indian selectors, but hopefully they never do that.
Hey, credits to them, dude. But what else? Captains? Who's everyone's captains?
Rohit for me.
Okay. P.
I didn't even think about this.
I gotta go with my boy. I just have to. I know Warner's there. He's won an IPL, but I'll be doing my own conscience a disservice if I don't pick Kohli.
What?
Come on. He's the worst captain in IPL.
That I agree, but my conscience is not going to let me sleep.
Your conscience would let you sleep if you pick Riddiman Saha in your 11, and you're picking.
But you're never gonna live that down. By the way, we're just gonna keep bringing it back up. Rahane and Saha. That's just
like I defend Kohli's captaincy in Test cricket all the time, but even he's garbage captain.
Horrible as a captain.
I know he is. And his captaincy has brought me so much pain over the years. But no, I have to. He's
so you're okay with more pain?
For me, even though I think this player is not the greatest model of a captain, I have Warner in there. I don't have the two best IPL captains are Rohit and Dhoni in this frame. They're not in my team. So I have Warner, Rahul.
Yeah, I mean, between Warner and Kohli, only one of them got a kid to sandpaper a ball. So I rest my case.
I mean, out of Kohli and Warner,
all right, between only one of them has won an IPL.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But I think it's clear.
I take an 8th place finish over making a new kid on the block sandpaper a ball because you're too much of a pussy to do it.
All right. Let's just putting it out there for 1 second.
Sandpaper.
I don't think you can consider sandpaper because that happened outside the context of the IPL. But also, let's have RCB just win one title and then have a scandal come out right afterwards, and I guarantee you will say, "Who cares? We won." So, just saying.
No, I think.
The biggest party in the world. Like there'll be a massive rager at my place, so don't worry about that. It's not, and that's not happening. But
anyways, yeah. I think if Dhoni was in the team, he would be my captain. He's far and away the best tactician, I think, in world cricket over the last 15 years. But again, I don't think he warrants a spot in the 11 based on his batting form. I think Rishabh Pant would warrant it before Dhoni does. And so that's why I think I just don't have him in.
Yeah. No. The Rohit and Dhoni are the two best captaincy options. So if you have them in playing 11, they're the choices. But I think Warner's always to me been the third best captain. Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap it up, let's just create a combined 11. All right. Yeah. Thanks, guys. This is our 11 for 2015 through 2020 for IPL. Comment down below what yours is. Make sure you like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.